Hello and welcome to round 4, the post recap show for Gwent Open number one. Hello to our lovely guests here. We have Ceely, we have Flake, we have Ryan, and Shinmiri, and we're going to talk about everything that happened at Gwent Open number 1. Your favorite moment from the tournament, starting with Ceely. Let's go.
Oh, the Shoop moment from Magpie's win. Gotta claim that one. Yeah, me and Repek both. I think Repek was really delighted by that one too.
Yeah, he was laughing out loud and jumping in his seat, so I guess he liked it.
It was a good one. It was really nice. Yeah.
You're up next.
Okay, there's one clear winner for this one, and it was the Yen's invocation on the Aileron, and the that slight percent chance that it would actually factor into any round or actually come out. And then not only did it factor in, but it was the winning play for that round, which won him the game. I have to say that there's nothing better for a caster to see the really obscure line of like 1% chance of something happening, and then it actually happening, and then it actually mattering, makes you as a caster look like an absolute freaking genius. So I was really happy when that happened and went down, because Shinmiri and I think were so super excited, because we both saw that line, and we're both, I think it was just a matter of both, like whoever had the chance to explain it was going to look like the genius, but we both saw it. And then ultimately when it happened, we were cheering for it to happen, and we're like, it could still happen. It could still happen. Vanadine could spawn more dudes.
It's like the Simpsons episode where Homer loses the pig, and he's like, it's still good. It's still good. Just a little airborne. It's still good.
Aileron's just in my deck. She's still good. She's still good. Yeah, it's exactly what that was in my opinion, the best moment of the entire tournament.
That's a good one. Shinmiri. Apart from all the awesome plays.
Apart from all the awesome plays, because there were so many good plays, but I like the moment when Flake was asking me what do I think a hot dog is? If it's a sandwich, is it not a sandwich? Like there's just those random moments where you get a little bit off topic. You're just having a conversation with a friend, and yeah, it's very organic. I like it.
Can I just like qualify that a little bit? Because it's just such a weird balance that we have to go, because while we're doing the deck lists, we're getting messages from the producer saying like, okay, hurry it up. So we hurry it up, and then they're like, okay, but you got to kill like an extra 10 or something minutes. And we're like, what the hell, man?
I can explain, because we hurry you up when we want to get into the game, but then we start the game and we fire up the tournament platform, and then we have this issue where I cannot connect, or one of the players cannot connect, and we need to stop everything, restart the match, send the invites once again. And then it's like, okay, well, now you guys got to buy time. And it's always awkward, because first we were like, hurry up. And then we're like, by the way, just stop, because we can't make it yet. So, yeah.
Yeah, you know those decks that you just skipped over? Now is the time.
Because it's just an awkward thing, because like we go through them, and then we're like, then the scene comes back to Shinmiri and I, and then we're like, okay, we're going to need an extra like 5 to 10 minutes. And we're like, well, we can't go back to the decks. So that's what I'm like, screw it, Shinmiri, hot dog, sandwich, not sandwich, let's do this. Like, now's the time, buddy. So.
Okay, Ryan, now you. Apart from the developer video where we learned about your promotion.
I think my favorite moments, there's actually 2 of them that were very similar, was when Danny Ray and I think Cyver lost their games. I mean, it sounds mean now, but they actually, waved goodbye on camera before their match was over. And I think it's always nice when players show some emotion. Also before the game started between Poisson and Xyver, I saw them, waving at each other on Discord, and obviously not talking, but still like some form of fair sportsmanship, and just, I really enjoy it when we get to see a little bit more of the players like that.
Yeah, it's something that me and Flake discussed kind of on the podcast, that what we miss is this players like being face to face, and because we're doing it online and we have it on Discord, like the only thing they can do is like they can wave to each other, right? There's nothing more that they can do in
So-
order to interact with each other.
So clear this up for me. The players can see each other's webcam, right?
They can see each other, but there is no audio. The only time
Okay.
where there is audio is when we're doing the interview. Apart from that, no audio.
So if one player like top decks a brick and shakes his
Yes.
head, they can
The
actually
other
see
player
that.
can see. Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
All right.
we were
The thing
aware of
is,
this. Yeah,
if they are using Discord like open, like if they have the
Mhm.
camera screen open, maybe have a second monitor or something. But then again, you could be played, right?
Yeah, but like
Mhm.
I don't know. I feel like in the meta right now, the
Mhm.
cam meta right now, nobody's faking, faking emotions on there. So I just
Yeah.
something to think about.
I
thought it
think
was
we're
curious.
by now used to having cameras on us all the time. Like all the meetings we do on a daily basis is just cameras everywhere, right? So you're just used
We
to
spoke about
interacting in
this.
this manner.
Like Shinmiri and I spoke about this, about how sometimes you get that advantage in having that sort of stoic personality of not showing, having that really steadfast poker face of not showing emotions when cards are drawn. We thought that, okay, like they don't see each other. So we saw certain times, right, Shinmiri, where like people were drawing cards and it was just like, they're like, oh my God, like, and that factors in if you're seeing, and this was
Mhm.
something that Shinmiri thought, and I thought that without a face-to-face, you can have a little bit more expression because your opponent will pick up on it. You could show your disappointment or your frustration or whatever, and that's fine. But I didn't know that the cameras were actually visible to both players because, yeah, I mean, it does kind of factor in to certain degrees. If you're, but then again, like Shinmiri said, the cam meta, people might have the absolute nuts and they're like, oh, blah, 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 and then who knows,
Yeah, it's like if you're playing face to face. I mean, you guys, all of you know, like when you're playing against someone, it's very easy to read that person, especially when you're playing in person. But on camera, you can also kind of tell, like, is he kind of bluffing? Does he really have something? Is he too overconfident, too cocky? That's why he's smiling all the time, and those things kind of play into it. For me, two things. Poison's hat. I have to say the sombrero was
Mhm.
amazing. Him
Yeah.
putting it on is kind of it also shows kind of more into the personality thing. And then Magpie saying that he has a mustache, and I was like, where is
Yeah,
it? I can't
where
see
is
it.
What is
on
that?
the camera?
Like
But
it just
yeah.
looked like he slid the contrast on his screen or something, like to make it darker. Because like I'm one to talk because I would probably look worse than that. But is that like the final phase for him? Like I know he's young.
No, he's young. It's gonna grow.
It's just funny to talk about.
But it's really cool. I like him saying that, I think it was also him trying to say that, I'm growing up here. It's not my first tournament that I came here to win. Like after Challenger 5, he's like, this Open is mine. And he was also super confident in saying like, I want to do the next two, and then I want to go to World Masters. And I like him being back in the game, and you could tell it by the way he was playing and the lineup that he brought. Favorite player or favorite decks for you guys? Who wants to start?
I can go first.
Of course.
Uh,
Let's start with the best one. Then we'll be like, I'll be last
I will
then.
pick. I'll just pick one. The lineup. I really liked Trusky / Danny Rise lineup. Very very unique. They were the only players that brought V monsters and also Rain. Number one deck that interested me the most was Rain, and Rain I feel like has been a perpetually underrated archetype. It's very strong, super good long rounds, and I think I don't have the stats for this tournament, but I think they did pretty well with Rain, right? I think those decks won games, and those were not the decks that held them back from winning their series. It was more like V that was the one that held them back. And in two other tournaments previously, a couple of people have also brought Rain, and it was like the same story. Rain won their games, did well, but they lost, and they didn't win the tournament. They didn't win their series, and then that kind of results in the community overlooking Rain again because it didn't win, it lost it was in a losing lineup. But yeah, I don't know. I always feel like Rain should probably see some more plays, some higher play rate on the ladder.
I've got a follow-up question on that. So do you think that there's a correlation between them winning the match, or like that Rain often is in a losing tournament lineup? because it kind of fits a certain deck style that you combine with other decks, right? And maybe that kind of tournament lineup is not so effective, or maybe they just got unlucky. Or
no, that could be part of it. Like Rain, it would go in a super greedy sort of lineup, right? And super greedy decks tend to have consistency issues, right? With like Practitioner and V, also part of the super greedy lineup. You can have consistency issues into not drawing your combo pieces, and that might be why these lineups tend to lose, because you're bringing them to such a small number of games, and you need like a lot of games to get that 80% consistency, 90% consistency. But when you're only playing 3-5 games, you can always just get screwed by like low sample size.
Yeah, I think another thing with that lineup as well was that both Trusky and Donerai ended up going on red coin in their series, which did end up affecting them quite a bit because they didn't really have that deck that wanted to really go on red coin either. They had to queue some matchups that they potentially didn't want to queue in there. And they went for this really greedy lineup. And if you look at Magpies and Poison's decks who made it to the very finals, they both had tools to deal with these type of greedy decks as well, with heat waves and muscles and things like that. So lineup does play a really big part of it, but I have to agree with Shinmiri. Love that lineup. And I also liked Pybbles and Kerpetans a lot. I think they went for a little bit more of a control-y aspect, but also took kind of a greedy route, which was very interesting to see. And then I gotta give Cams a shout out because I love his off the books list. It didn't really get to shine maybe in this particular open, but I had the pleasure of watching Cam scrim a bit of games with that list as well, and it looked so strong into the Nilfgaard imposter list. However, unfortunately, it didn't really get there in the actual tournament, but I think I love the Firesworn bronzes being added into that list overall. So I think Syndicate is in a pretty good spot, and maybe we should have seen a little bit more Syndicate in the tournament as well.
The one thing about this whole tournament that I really liked was the fact that there was this audition, as it were, for meme style decks to see how they can kind of operate to a degree and how they can perform. And if you're reading the meta correctly and you're suspecting that it's just going to be something where if it's very your side of the fence oriented, where you just need to take care of your own yard and do your own thing and try to outpoint your opponent that way, if you get all the dominoes to fall correctly for that Imperial Practitioner list, you will outpoint almost every deck. The ceiling on that deck is astronomical. The problem with meme decks obviously is that they're combo style, so you're going to need a lot of those pieces early to get it to go off. And you need your opponent to sort of play ball with you. You need your opponent to actually kind of allow you to do what you're doing. And I thought that a lot of the climate for that list was correct for it to perhaps thrive in certain cases, but there was just enough control out there. There's just enough knowledge of the list to create a very unreasonable environment for it where it didn't succeed where it maybe should have. We've seen little glimpses of it here and there succeeding, but I think that this was a really good barometer in terms of players who are trying to say, okay, memes could work if the meta that I'm suspecting is correct, they can do well. But ultimately, at the same time, we saw how they can fall flat if you don't have all your pieces. I just liked that people tried it out. So in futures, is that going to be the same case? Are people going to bring some sort of, odd lists to catch people off guard if the ceiling for them is high enough to beat and the meta climate is great? Thought that was that in general, just the players who brought that type of list was good for the narrative of the tournament as well, just to see that it was possible, and trying that experiment is always fun to see.
I wonder, when is a meme, and when does it turn into an actual common good deck?
When it comes to a tournament.
I think that's a good. Honestly, I know that you say that as a joke to a degree, but when it comes to a tournament, it comes to the tournament because it's tried and trusted by a professional player. And with stakes as high as they are, a professional player is not going to bring a long shot just for the lulz. It's not like these players are millionaires and winning a couple $1,000s is laughable. These are players who are playing for not only the money now and the prestige, but also for a ticket to World Masters where, the real coin is available. So I like this sort of also odes to the fact that a lot of players, when in previous tournaments, would sort of complain about not players, but viewers would complain about the fact that the meta is very homogenized. It's very similar. All the decks are the same. Everyone's bringing the same 4. Well, this is the alternative where people are bringing a variety of lists and trying new things. And I think that's fine. And I think that's good for the game. So a player legitimizes that list by bringing it to the tournament, I think is a very fair assessment.
And I would also like to add to there that, yes, it is the tournament scenario because the coin is controlled. You can bring that imposter list, for example, on blue coin, which relies so heavily on these combo pieces, but then play that deck on ladder. You're going to run into a lot of red coin situations where you don't get to utilize your curse scroll stratagem, and then you end up having a really wonky hand in round 1, and it doesn't work out as smoothly as the pro players make it look. When they queue that deck on blue coin, get a beautiful hand. That's just not going to work out. And that's, I think, when a meme deck potentially works in a tournament or meme deck, but then on the ladder, it stays a meme because it's just too inconsistent.
I think we're going to see more of that in the future with cards like Arendite as well. Yeah. Very much stronger on blue coin than on red coin. So could see it in tournaments. People will probably try it on ladder, but if it ends up not being viable on red coin, it won't be a viable ladder deck. But tournaments, it could be really, really strong.
Blue coin just kind of came out of nowhere to be the more desired side of the board, it seems, which is awesome because it was always such a point of contention for so many, not just tournaments, but years, where blue coin, red coin was this massive sort of monkey on CDPR's back that they eventually addressed with stratagems, but eventually the power creep and such just blew past what those stratagems meant, and red coin was so strong. But now there's so many decks that want to go first. They want to force you to play catch up. And that's what's awesome as well, is that it's not always a blue coin, red coin scenario. It's also meta. The meta and the decks that are available also sprinkle into that formula to say, what do you want? Do you want blue coin? Do you want red coin? Well, it depends. What is the meta? What am I playing? What's available? It's not just last say in the first round where you can go second and maybe catch your opponent to win on even. Because we've seen that even losing on even is not the worst thing in the world, because we've seen another massive, like give my regards to your balls scenario. Was it Piable or Cams who bled down 2 or 3 cards?
I think.
Yeah. Hello. Like I thought there was no bigger Chad in the game than Colamon, who bled down 2 cards and won that game. Well, welcome Giga Chad mode of, he just called in all the Chads and created like Chad Zord and just came in and said, no, 3 cards, not even a thing, So I thought that was pretty damn cool.
That was one of my favorite moments. And I think it also, like, I saw the reactions in chat. People were like, they could not believe it because, like, it's like the principle of Gwent. Like, don't go down more than 1 card. Like, don't do it. Then going down 3 is like, holy shit.
Senseless bleed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God. You heard me, Shinmiri, when I
called them out.
I called out all of chat. All of them. I said, listen, own it. Say it. When this round started, how many of you were like, oh, easy win for so-and-so, and that didn't happen? I'm like, I was one of them. I thought that there was no way that he could have won going down these cards. So own it and accept it. You were wrong, and it happens. I'm like, this is just the way it goes. But 1 card is played, and everyone's like, easy 2-0. Like, get real. Like, these are pros, man. You think that they've never gone down, like, lost a round on even? Like, get real. Like, it's just funny to see. But, man, the skill set. It is good. Oh,
it feels really good because, you watch that game happen live on the screen and then you feel like, no way Piable wins that. And then at the end you get proven wrong and you're like, I was wrong. And then you go to Twitch chat, watch that same moment happen half an hour later and you're like, all right, it wasn't just me.
Yeah, everybody.
This tournament was so full of like amazing plays and big brain moments. I got to give a shout out to Magpie. He really consistently impressed me with all of his plays. And the one that stands out to me the most was in Game 5 of his semifinal series with Piable is the Skellige Mirror. He was playing Alchemy with Sigvald, and Piable was playing Ursine Ritual Self-Wound. And in 1 turn, he used Leader on Sigvald, played Canute, used the Canute on the tall Sigvald to kill a defender, and then also used the Sigvald order to kill his opponent's Canute. At the same time, like Piable probably thinking, oh, my Canute is safe behind my defender, or even the audience and us as casters were saying, oh, we're not even like entertaining the idea that this thing can die behind the defender in one turn, and Magpie just using really niche, like uncommon usage of Sigvald's ability that people kind of tend to forget because it's usually the suboptimal one, right? But just like amazing moment. I had the pleasure of rewatching that moment on the stream, and chat was just like, "Oh my god, Pogger's like such a big play," and love scenes.
Yeah, I think there were a lot of like big brain plays, and also it's really cool to see how the professionals kind of how they like I mainly see this by the fact that I mainly play Scoia'tael, and there was a lot of Scoia'tael in this tournament, which made me super happy. But everybody had their version of the Waylay deck, and it was so good. But the like I play it in a way where I structure the plays, and I hardly ever like I try to adapt, but I see that they adapt to situations in such a way that it's like, why haven't I thought of that? That's such a good play. And they always surprise me with these things. It's just incredible. So that was for sure one that made me happy. But I also think that something that needs to be said here is that NR, in my opinion, was one of the strongest decks, like the Siege one, and the best performer in this tournament. And it was incredible to see it like go. And I also see like it's the deck that I always have problems on ladder. But seeing the power level of it here and how how crazy it was and with all the pings was just incredible to see.
Oh, the part of that story is the fact that Stockpile, we've mentioned this a few times on the broadcast, was that Stockpile was legitimately like the bastard child of Northern Realms. It was laughable every single time Ryan would post one of those win rate things. It's like it's go straight to the bottom and find Stockpile every single time.
Yeah.
I think that the resurgence of Stockpile is quite a great endorsement for the reworking of certain factions and such, that even the slightest little change to a few things can really revitalize not only a leader ability, but an entire wave of cards, that's why, I mean, this is totally off topic, but that's why I'm more of a fan of reworking leaders than I am typically of reworking cards entirely. I think that leaders should be focal points, but that's a whole other discussion. But yeah, the seeing Stockpile in Northern Realms has sort of been a little bit of has had a presence at a lot of these tournaments. I think there was only one or two over the course of a few years where Northern Realms wasn't really ever there. It was a little bit off the radar. But then you had sort of Zeal, like a Northern Realms Zeal dueling style list. You had a Northern Realms alumni list that was mages that was exceptionally strong. Commandos way before that was very strong. It always had a presence, but this is the first time I think I feel that it had a presence that was really unique's not the word, but very. It was very like every turn mattered. Every sequencing mattered. It wasn't just a matter of, okay, just drop as much patience dudes as I can and hopefully they all survive and then my late game is just blasting you with mages. No, this was like, all right, every turn is surgical. And I think that in terms of skill cap for this particular leader ability is exceptionally high. This is not a leader ability that anybody can just pick up and get to pro with or excel in pro rank. This is one for the OGs. This is one for my homies, so to speak. Like, the best players in Gwent are the ones that are going to take this and really fly with it.
You already said, what would you kind of point out as the deck of the tournament? Numero uno.
Ceely?
In your book, and why? Oh,
Yeah,
apart
again.
from we know Rain. You guys like Rain,
Yeah.
but
I want
from
Ceely's intelligent opinion, so I can just piggyback off that because
I'm gonna say Skellige Self Wound, because I mean there's a lot of different versions you can go for that, but in terms of like high skill ceiling, you need a lot of skill to be able to pilot SK. There's so many different lines that you can take. Like, for example, the moment that Shinmiri mentioned with Magpie, taking kind of the suboptimal Sigvald that ended up being the play to make. It's just a hard list to pilot. There's a lot of engines happening all the time. There's a lot of different order abilities, a lot of damage, a lot of targeted damage that you can put out. There's a Sigvald. I think that list is just endless kind of options, and piloting it is very difficult. So I say that's the list to beat. And of course, different versions of it, but at the core, it's the Skellige self-wound for me.
I gotta say that it's gotta be elves. I mean, elves to me had almost.
Same.
I'm the more that I played a ton of that elf list. I loved it. Seeing it in action as well against the best in the deck, it was difficult to bleed out. It was difficult to really rein in what its strategy was. Besides heat waving a scenario, like how do you stop this proactively? How do you get on like ahead of this list? Like trying to outpoint it maybe, but it had several options for control. It went wide. It didn't really go tall enough. It was able to accumulate points by shaving them off of your side of the board with like a well-timed Vernacial. It could, it did so much. It did so much. And in the blink of an eye, it could catch up with a 5 Waylay Simlas for 32 points across, 6 bodies. And you're like, what the hell just happened? I thought that it is definitely one of the most unstoppable lists with the fewest amount of weaknesses. It was very tough to just, unless you were packing multiple row punishes, it was incredibly difficult to maneuver around that list.
Same for me. I think it's super dominant, and I think it's one of those decks that is super optimized, and still like the players manage to like tweak them a little bit to what they like. Some mixes with a little bit of removal. Having spores also in the deck was interesting, and actually using Alyssa later to get the spores back. I think Viable did that. That was incredible, and adding a little bit of control aspect to the deck, because when it comes to like controlling, it can do a little bit when it comes to just like trying to get the death blow and all the removal going, but still it's more getting all the points on the board, and it does that, and it does both things super well. So I feel like it's very consistent. We'll have to wait and see how it will perform after the changes that are coming with the update coming out today, so the day you're watching it. So that's gonna be interesting for sure. Favorite reveal of the tournament. So when we're talking about forgotten treasures, what's your favorite card?
Okay, so is the question what's our favorite card or what's our favorite reveal video?
It can be card, it can be reveal. Like you can go with props for the content creator that revealed it, or you can say which card you enjoy the most.
Because I feel like both really deserve credit, because on the one side, I think game designers did an incredible job. I was overwhelmed by all the different ways they thought about these new cards. I feel like it's way more creative and diversive than the past drops we had, even across a whole expansion, where it's easier for them to create new cards, like 4 new cards that support one archetype, but it's way more difficult to create 9 neutrals, for example, that were completely different from each other and all have very different ways to interact with the game. And on the other side, I was super happy with how our partners came together and actually created creative videos on revealing those cards. So it would be hard for me to choose, but I think I have to go with the Bomblin reveal video, because his small Slav detective look into that world was amazing. Yeah.
I kind of have to agree. Not only Bomblin's reveal video was very unique and like awesome style, and it kind of took you into like this television mini series almost, right? Like, but I also, the card that he revealed, Magic Compass, is like one of my favorite cards from this set, because it's just so many different ways that you can utilize it, and it's like a deck builder's wet dream, pretty much. Like trying to figure out how to make this card as effective as possible while also mitigating its downsides, because you need to run a ton of thinners, right? And maybe are you looking to play this for 1 legendary, or are you looking to like over thin and play this for 2 legendary? Because it's possible to even play this in round 2 with 2 or fewer cards in your deck. Get a legendary, and then its echo would get you that 3rd card to draw into at the start of round 3, and you can play a 2nd legendary that way. And then which legendaries do you keep in your deck? Which legendary do you like cut from your deck to maybe get that from Magic Compass? How do you build your thinners so that you don't screw yourself if you miss a thinner or something like that? Like how do you make sure that your consistency is on point? How do you account for the fact that if you're blue coin and you play like Skellige Stratagem, you're going to thin one more. Or if you play Vile, do you play Vile in your deck? And if your opponent plays Vile, then you're thinning an extra card. Like it's so crazy, right? To try to figure out the best optimal build for a card like that. And there's so many different possibilities. And then when it comes to executing and playing with the card, when do you take Combi? When do you take like Fukusha or Getinith or whatever? So many possibilities with that card.
Shinmiri's card of the patch, pretty much.
Yeah, Shinmiri's just getting a little too excited there, buddy. It was just funny to see him like just when these cards, like getting wind of these cards, and just Shinmiri's all the gears in his head just starting to turn, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, there's only 24 hours in a day. Can you really, like, how long is his stream going to be? Like, just going through all of this. That's exciting for me. I gotta say, like, look, the card that Gwentfinity revealed, I thought was, and I know there's some bias here, but this is absolutely my kind of card. A little bit of that kind of gambling mantra that you have of playing profit, and that intuition, that spidey sense that you need to have, and be like, I think he's going to do this, so now's the time to jam profit and really maybe mess up his ideas and mess up his game plan. It is such a disruption card, and it's only 7 provisions. I feel like it can definitely find a home in decks that really want to. It's one of those things of like, okay, I just need one more turn to do XYZ. Like, how can I save myself? Well, you jam profit, and then maybe it can work out in that way. I think that there's significant implications for profit. I don't think it's going to be necessarily a game changer, but against certain lists, like, that's a card that a lot of players are going to have to keep in mind. Also, the fact that, again, I don't want to say the whole Twitch chat, but Twitch chat seeing Dagon like blurred out and thinking that Dagon was going to be there right after Pavel was like, okay, here are 2 Nilfgaard reveals. And everyone's, oh my God, a Dagon! And then they're like, this massive war crime occurred when we did not reveal Dagon. Like, please, come on, let's be real. But shout out to Zuby and for Christo, to all who were also in that video, for helping us out on that. But yeah, I think that's, in my opinion, like one of the coolest cards that we got to reveal. But there was so much more on the dev stream that are so awesome. So many artifacts that are kind of like, okay, we'll see what happens. Like, that's kind of how I like it. So we'll see how it goes.
I think Twitch chat reaction also spoke for itself, because normally when we have a dev stream that's like 40 minutes or so, we get those resident sleepers.
Yeah.
But this time around, we went half an hour talking about 9 new cards, and everybody was like, I don't understand stability. What's happening? What is this card?
Yeah, not a single person said dead game. What is going on? Is it really a Gwent Open if nobody's spamming that garbage? Like, sure.
Yeah, I think I was, to be honest, in the beginning, I was kind of on the fence of doing reveals, like, and all of it packed into one event, because we were thinking maybe we should do them a little bit before, like a week before, let like content creators like have, lead us kind of in to the whole thing, and then have a developer update where we actually show the rest of the cards. But then we thought that it would be cool to kind of showcase everything on the weekend. And actually, like, looking at what was going on, because I was checking like socials, Discords, Reddit, people were just like going crazy, theater crafting, posting everything, and the content was just creating itself. It was awesome to see. Ceely, favorite card?
Favorite card would probably be kind of on the basis that Shinmiri said, but even better because it's a neutral golden necker. Because endless opportunities. I think people are gonna have so much fun, like figuring out what is gonna be the best. All the combos. I'm sure there's gonna be something that someone comes up with that no one anticipated. It's gonna be really awesome, and I can't wait to see what that would be. And also, I want to give a shout out to, I think, Faberstein for his reveal as well. I thought that was so creative. Yes, the rope great. And the dog in the box. Yes. I had so much fun watching it.
The feathers and the egg, and you're like, RP egg, I know this one. Yeah. And it's like, so good.
Oh,
yeah,
dude.
Plus it was creative and cool, and I just was amazed by the backyard he has. There's like a shit ton of land there. I was like, what?
Yeah. Guy lives on a vineyard or something. Like, it's like, what a life, dude. Like, sweet. That was so good. No neighbors to bother you. Like, come on, it's the life.
No construction outside because they're just fields. Like, you only have people like picking, I don't know, grapes or something. And Beautiful.
Plus, he made that sweet atmospheric music himself, so
Yeah.
lots of creativity going into that
We didn't
video.
even get to hear the music, Flake.
No, we didn't. We just
You need to
we
watch
didn't get
the
to hear the
stream.
music.
You can check it out on his YouTube channel,
Yeah.
Faberstein.
That guy was awesome. That was
Yeah.
awesome. Also the pronunciation of Ihuaraquax or whatever. That
Yes.
eventually I was just like, because I don't know, and I'm like, I'm just gonna dig into this. For all of you out there listening to this, I do purposely mispronounce things because it drives people crazy. Like I call it K-nut because it's just funnier that way.
It's so horrible. I'm
And-
sorry, that one is so horrible to me because I speak Swedish as my first language, and I know a couple of Knuts like in real life. So when someone says K-nut, I was like, oh,
Yeah,
it
well,
hurts.
the people who call it coupe de grace or whatever, like myself as
It's for
growing up
them, alright.
in Quebec, like speaking French fluently, like to me it's the same thing. I'm like, well, it's coup de grace, like that's how you say it. But when I say K-nut, I like to then go into the chat 30 minutes later and see people, what? K-nut? What is this guy, an idiot? And I'm like, yeah. And then
We know you do it on purpose.
oh, some of them I absolutely do on purpose. Like when I sometimes I'll just slip it in there, and I know that I haven't done it in a while because partially because the card hasn't been indexed, but like Gigascorpion Decoction, just shorten it to Gigacock. Why not, man? Like let's just time is money. Time is money. You got to go in there. Like let's do this. But to be fair though, the Ihuaraquax thing was just like because Shinmiri would pronounce it what Ihuarahua.
Ihuarahua, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm like, that's not what it does. It doesn't say it. Like, I don't know. So eventually I just was like, yeah, it just sounded like I was coughing up a fur ball. So I was like, let's just call it Sparkle Pony.
You did that twice in a row, and we were on the deck list screen when you did that, thankfully, because I was just like bending over laughing, like trying to stifle it. But it was really good.
The key to that is after pronouncing it, you have to really emphasize the pronunciation being bad, but then immediately revert back to standard procedure and just continue on. So you'd say like, okay, so he can absolutely go ahead and snipe that Simlas with the which would really put a nail in the coffin for his round 3 strategy. So you really you got to revert back real quick. That's the key. That and saying K-nut to just absolutely trigger the chat. My favorite thing.
And Ceely.
Yeah, exactly.
And Ceely, I'm sorry, Ceely. I will pick a new card that isn't Swedish.
Both of these matchups coming up, both of potential matchups, the Imposter Mirror and the Imposter versus V matchups are really interesting because even the V matchup, you've got Imposter able to play like coup de grace onto an Ihuarahua to mill your opponent's the Ihuarahua. The unicorn to mill your opponent's V from their deck.
Your favorite thing that happened in chat, or if chat's best reaction, or something that you want to highlight. I know Flake, you were possibly like, you baited them so many times in order just to make screenshots and tweets out of it to kind of
No, I love it.
Get them, but
got him. Yeah.
The thing that I can think of is like when the new cards were being revealed, there are so many interesting and hard to evaluate cards now. And like every single card, you would have 5 people say absolute trash, unplayable, and then another 5 people say this is the most OP broken thing auto include in the game. And it's just like, well, I mean that I think that means that's like shows that these cards are very interesting. They're not super clear cut, right? When they can be so regarded in such a wide spectrum of ways.
I love our Twitch chat most of the time, especially most of the people in there. But there's a wholesome group of viewers that always gathers around on Ceely's Discord, and they're very supportive by derailing negative comment chains on Twitch, awesome. And just changing it back to some funny, wholesome stuff. And we have our little exclamation mark English command, which automatically lets everyone know that please keep the chat in English. And for everyone that wonders why we have to do it, is because we need to moderate the chat. So if there's something being said there in a language we don't understand, we can't make sure that it's okay to stay in the chat, right? So we got to know what's being said. That's why we have this English command. And it spouts out like, hey, please keep the chat in English so we can moderate it in 4 or 5 different languages. And there was a very funny interaction where a lot of people spammed some B emote, I'll just call it that, and people got banned, and then I think I have to give a shout out to Anne because she made it through the ban hammer because she posted a text which was basically 4 languages saying, please don't spam any Bs in the chat. But the German version, which I can understand, was so funny because it just used like very, very quirky words in the German language, which I had a great time reading Twitch chat when they were around.
Flake, I know you want to go. I can tell by your.
I see your mouth quivering.
Let me at him.
I have a very, very unique relationship with Twitch chat. I say this. I think I said it on the podcast, right? I love 98% of you. But the 2% of you are complete douche hats. Like it's just the fact. But again, the fact that there's so many awesome and positive people out there who are trying to sort of just overwhelm the negativity with positivity is always great. I wasn't in that Twitch chat for more than like 10 minutes just to see a couple segments to see how people react. I don't necessarily. I don't care enough to watch. Like I'm watching the games real time, so I can't watch them. Like when I'm done casting with Shinmiri, we're still watching the games as they occur live because we are so interested and we're so gripped by that we're not going to be in the chat. Whatever. Like it's not my jam. Like it's not my thing. So I don't really like to be in there that much. It's just because I prefer to watch the games live. But when I was in there, it was nice to see that there was just a lot of there's a lot of positivity that was just being radiated in that regard, but there's always going to be losers who are going to try to just derail. And if they're unhappy, they want everyone else to be unhappy. And, that's just the way it is. It's facts. And like, I wish these people well, but the vast majority in this particular tournament were awesome. And even though there were, some unfortunate technical difficulties and, the developer stream was longer than normal, but people were gripped by it. And there was none of that stuff that you were talking about, the whole resident sleeper. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. Like that's the worst part about it, and it's just people not understanding how things function and that players need rest and it's not clear cut all the time, that we're connecting through like 19 different countries to bring you something that you can enjoy for free. So like bear with us. But my favorite thing that I do like to clue into and sort of watch is I like when Shinmiri and I tell the chat we love them and just seeing the outpour of like all the hearts and love like that. I'm like, that's what I like to do. I just like to make sure that people know that they are loved, and seeing those people respond to that and not saying cringe and whatever. Like the auto tap reply to most people enjoying themselves is, oh, that's so cringe. It's not cringe. People are having a good time. Let them enjoy their freaking lives. So the fact that when we're out there and we're, trying to show a little bit of love and seeing it reflected back so strongly amidst the community, that's my favorite thing about it. That's what I love the most about it. And it was very strong this tournament and the whole tournament in general, the play, the people, community, spot on. It was great.
I just want to add on top of that there's, as you said, lots of people that are very, very nice in the chat, but there's always what really bothers me is, for example, when we have a female streamer on the stream where she revealed a card as well, and then suddenly all the 10-year-olds wake up and just decide to be complete assholes on stream, which it gets me so angry, and I'm very grateful for all the moderators in the chat that we have that immediately pounce on those messages, make sure that it's a rather safe space for people, but still, obviously we can't catch everything. And wow, there's a lot of noise in the background here. But yeah, I want to give a thanks to all the moderators and people that try to keep the chat wholesome.
Spessy and Ceely were effing phenomenal. Like that is something that I have to make sure that is people are well aware of.
That needs to be mentioned here.
It has to be mentioned because, and I tweeted about it and I told you guys personally, but ultimately the fact that you guys, like when you started to where you are now, not that you guys were ever bad, but it's just the improvement in that trajectory has been a marvel to watch. I've been doing this for so many years, and it's always lovely to see people on that journey and progress and just come into their own, because it's not easy to do, and it's not an easy job, and you guys are just effing killing it. So congratulations to you guys, but it's not even a matter of congratulating you on luck or anything like that. It's the fact that you guys worked hard and improved and got to where you are. It's earned, and that is something that you guys need to put in your back pocket all the time. It's earned. So everybody out there who's like, oh, I could do that, then do it, because they're doing it, and they're doing it probably way better than you
And
can.
it's not
so
easy. It's
it's not easy at all.
And the amount of work, preparation, and plus having this pressure that you're on camera and your microphone is live is just nerve-wracking, and that adds to the whole thing. But you really held your own. It was incredible to see. And like said, like your trajectory and the way you both grew, and since the first ones that you did, it's incredible. It's awesome to see. Yeah.
Yeah,
you guys did so well that Spessy didn't even want to show up. He's too big for us now.
Yeah.
Completely
Yeah,
big timed us. Yeah.
Big leagues.
Big league does, big time.
He'll listen to this, he'll see this, and he'll be just as over the moon as I am. Like, thank you from the bottom of my heart. It means so much, and it gives you that extra little kick in the ass to do, like, try to improve even more. And it's just such a dream come true to be able to be part of these events, because Gwent is a game that I love, and I've always loved it ever since I started playing. And I don't know, it's all very overwhelming. And I do want to say that for me, these Gwent Opens and Gwent Masters, they also wouldn't be anything without Flake and Shinmiri, or Flake Miri, or Shake, whatever you want to call them. It's just, I enjoy watching it so much. Like, after our cast was done, I relaxed, I grabbed a beer, and I was watching Shinmiri and Flake go for it in the finals, and it was just amazing. They just pull it off every time. So these words coming from you means literally the world to me. Thank you so much.
I feel the same, and I love how we're such a wholesome family here, and like the caster pairs will actually just legitimately love and support each other. I feel the same as what Ceely said. When I'm not casting, when Flake and I are not casting, I'm just like sitting there with a huge grin on my face watching Ceely and Spessy do their thing, and they're just amazing at it. And the games were hyped, the casting was amazing. Yeah, and the reveals were super exciting this time around as well. And just like every time I'm a part of these Gwent events, whether it's online or in person, I just feel like I'm on such a high during it and after it, and even when it ends, I'm just like I just want to relive that again. And I channeled my energy yesterday to Patch Note stream into a weekend Patch Note stream. So, and I'm going to do more after we finish recording this, going over the rest of the pages.
8 hours.
Another 8 hours, yeah.
Yeah.
Pavel, can you tell the world what I told you in your ear that you couldn't say at the end of the turn?
Which means ass. That's it.
That's it.
So
that's all it takes.
Bad.
That's
it
all it
that
takes.
Bad. But like I said before we started recording this, like, I just want people to think, what could Flake possibly say that he wouldn't want to say it out loud? Was it the F word? Was it something worse? Was it something, like gruesome? But no, it was just dupa. It's not that bad. It's not even a curse word in Polish. So
I broke Shinmiri, and that's basically my mission. Every weekend, my mission is to throw Shinmiri like off his train of thought in some way or form. And I think I did it again. And it's my favorite thing to do. Absolutely.
Yeah, love casting with you, Flake. Love watching all of you guys do your thing, and huge shout out to CDPR and all the behind the scenes. This one was, especially day one, was a tough one, and I don't know really exactly what you guys had to go through, but day two was much smoother, and overall, this tournament felt like one of the best ones we had yet.
Yeah, like we thought first it was just to talk about that a little bit. Like, we first thought it was an internet connection issue, but it was actually something with the upload, because we were dropping frames like crazy, and we did not know like what happened. And for day two, because we always record like 2 backups of the stuff that we apart from, of course, streaming it live to Twitch. So we cut one of the one of the ones that was recording for us. So one recording totally stopped in order for us to just have enough bandwidth and everything to stream, and only do one backup. And with that one backup and streaming, everything was fine. But we're doing double backups and streaming the first day, which we normally do. There were some technical issues which we could not solve. Like, we have IT technicians, with us. And we were kind of just going back and forth. Should we stop now? Should we not stop? Should we? No, I'm the executive producer on it, and my mentality always is kind of YOLO. I'm less thinking, more action. I'm like, no, the show needs to go. We need to keep going. And then someone's like, no, we cannot go. And yeah, it gets into a heated discussion, but yeah, that's what happened pretty much.
The crazy part was though that normally when we have issues, we're prepared and then we know, all right, in half an hour, once it goes live on Twitch, people will see it and we can be prepared in the chat, say, hey guys, sorry, this is only going to take 5 minutes or so. But here we had issues with our uploading program dropping, 15,000 frames in a couple of minutes. And it was happening live, that the footage that we recorded half an hour ago, basically, that went up on Twitch now had those drop frames. So the issue was actually affecting us live, which made it even harder.
Thankfully, we have the recordings and the backup. I'm already waiting for them because we need to do some editing on those videos, so they should be up very, very soon, probably sometime this week. Because I love to keep all these opens, on YouTube and have access to them. Just to look back, like what we used to do or how we did things back in the day and how we do it now. It's kind of like I like to go back and see kind of the first developer stream that I did in 2017 with Luigi, where we had this like one shitty camera in front of us in one of the conference rooms, and I even didn't know what I was saying and doing and stuff like that. And you kind of look at the stuff that you do right now and how much you have grown from it. It's just it's incredible to see the journey.
I think that connects us all here because we all grew up with the Gwent community in some way or form or with this game, and all had our own development in a way through it.
Congratulations, Magpie. Got to give
congratulations, Magpie.
Congratulations,
Killed it.
Mm-hmm.
Keep on working on that mustache, and we'll see you in World Masters.
I'm still sorry for Poisson though. He made it to 3 open finals now and never won it.
Yeah. It's going to be a story. It's going to be a storyline when he finally makes it, and I think he will.
It can always be worse. You can always be like Combs. Just get in there and get dropped instantly. Sorry, Combs. I know. If you're watching this, I love you. You know that. Thank you all. Then was awesome to chat and recap Open number 1. Let's do this for Open number 2. Already have to we have the date. So it's July 2nd and 3rd, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
So first weekend of July, and it's gonna be another amazing show. So I think we should all do the signature.
Bye.